Welcome to the Big Game Hunting Podcast, where we help hunters like you prepare for the big game hunting adventures you've always dreamed of. Now, here's your host, John McAdams.
Hello, John McAdams here. Welcome to bonus episode 13 of the Big Game Hunting Podcast. It is very important to store your firearms in a manner that prevents unauthorized people, ranging from little children to professional thieves, from accessing them. Well, I was joined by Tom Kubinick of Securite Gun Storage in this episode, and we had a great discussion on gun storage, how we might be looking at things the wrong way traditionally on this front, and how Securite does things a little differently. Now, before we get started with this discussion, I want to take a minute, make sure you're signed up for my email list by going to huntingguns101.com. You'll get my free ebook when you do, and you'll also receive the emails I send out every weekday. If you like the Big Game Hunting Podcast, you'll love those emails. That's huntingguns101.com, or send me an email, john@thebiggamehuntingblog.com, and tell me you want to join the list. Now, if you already signed up but aren't getting emails from me, check your spam or junk email folder with your email provider. If you have Gmail, look in your promotions tab. If you find my messages in either of those spots, move them into your primary inbox, and there should also be a way for you to tell your email provider that you actually want to receive those messages and they're not spam. So make sure you do that to ensure you get your future emails. You can also shoot me an email and I'll help you out with that if you're having some problems. One last time, huntingguns101.com. Okay, let's get started talking about gun storage. Tom, it is great talking to you today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I saw that this was on the calendar, and I was like, all right. I was excited. I think it's going to be a good conversation today.
Well, I'm excited for it. I have a passing familiarity with you and your work, but I'm interested to learn more. So why don't we get started? Why don't you tell me a little bit about your personal background and how you got into the gun safe business?
Okay, that's an interesting. It's not what people normally think. I graduated high school as a professional guitar player for about 12 years on the road.
Wow.
And I played in everything from heavy metal bands. I played in a Judas Priest, Iron Maiden cover band all over the East Coast. I played in original groups, and I played in big band, jazz bands, all sorts of stuff. And tendonitis ended my career as a professional musician, so I took a job in sales. 2 years later, I quit and started a little sales organization in my apartment, on the edge of Los Angeles, and just started a little business selling computer-related supplies. At that time, it was printer ribbons, typewriter ribbons, and diskettes. And slowly built that to a company of about 23 people, sold it to my partner, went off on my own, did the same company, got into the internet in the late 90s, early 2000, and started selling tape racks for storing, computer tapes on the internet, taperack.com. We became one of the largest sellers of tape racks. HIPAA laws came out requiring all hard drives to be locked in hospitals. So we started selling laptop cabinets, and I had laptopcabinet.com. And a guy called me and he said, "Can you store an MP5?" I'm like, "Sure." "What's an MP5?" And he said, "It's a little machine gun." I started laughing, and I said, "Who is this?" He said, "I'm with the FBI." And I said, I think we could. Let me give me some time, do some research. I started looking at it, and it didn't take me long before I came across a lot of articles and things within the military community. They were transitioning from the M16 to the M4, which is a standard 39-inch carbine down to a modular. I mean, the M4 really is it's a weapon system. It's extremely modular. There's depending on what group you're with, there's a lot of different attachments and components that go with it, and every rack they had would not hold that gun properly. So we started looking at weapon storage as a new product for us. I worked with a company out of Canada that was making laptop cabinets for us, and we developed our first storage platform. It was called the IWSP, Integrated Weapon Storage Platform. Sold that for several years. The Canadian firm would not do what I wanted in terms of design work, and we ran some issues, so I went off on our own and developed Cradle Grid, working with U.S. Army Special Forces in 2008. And by 2011, we were the largest builder of armories in the world. And it's not huge. It's a niche market. We weren't a really big company. We just had a niche, and we had a product line that could do what nobody else could do. And the company just exploded. Sequestration hit under Obama. It had nothing to do with Obama. It was more to do with Congress. But the forced cutbacks just about put us out of business. And I sold off everything. I ended up laying off most of my staff and got to the point of about ready to sell the house. And we picked up a couple of orders, and things started happening and kind of getting us back on our feet. We made the determination to go into the retail consumer market. We started looking at it, and we're like, holy cow, this is a mess. And we introduced Cradle Grid in our system into the consumer market, did a little bit of advertising, and then 3 years later, we were Inc. Magazine, one of the fastest growing companies in America. It just took off. People just really adopted quickly to what it is we do and our differences.
Well, we'll talk more about what you do and what those differences are with you guys versus the traditional gun safes here in a minute. But I guess maybe the first thing we should talk about is the things someone should be securing their firearms against, what the threats are, and then how you go about defeating those threats.
Okay, that's a great question, because the threat has changed, and a lot of people don't realize the gun safe industry has not changed in 60 years. The gun safe has been the same for pretty much since they really started, and that was back in the 70s when gun safes really started. All the gun safe manufacturers formed kind of back in the 70s, 80s, and that it's a big heavy metal safe full of drywall and carpeting, so it keeps out thieves, keeps out all the burglars and everything. And they're all made to the same standard. It's a UL. It's called RSC, Residential Security Container. That's the standard to which all gun safes are made. And the gun safe industry, or I should say the insurance industry, required this because people were buying safes and they want to insure their guns. And the insurance industry is like, okay, what is the rating on this safe? We can't issue a policy if we don't have a rating. And UL rates safes from big bank vaults all the way down the jewelry store to little safes. The gun safe industry presented what they were selling, and UL came up with RSC, Residential Security Container. The word safe was not part of the designation, not part of the certification, because UL's statement was these don't meet the minimum performance to be called a safe. So what a gun safe protects, what it's certified to do is block access from one person with a pry bar of less than 18 inches, a hammer of less than 5 pounds, and a small hand drill for 5 minutes. That is the security level, and that's what they protect you against. So let's go forward to today. If you go out in a concrete job site, you're going to see guys with electric battery-operated circular saws cutting half-inch rebar with carbide blades. Same saws you used, skill saw in your basement when you're doing home improvement. You go to Home Depot, buy a carbide steel blade. They're about $20 for the blade. And we shot a video. I cut a Liberty Fat Boy Jr. Big safe. I walked around it in 1 minute, 18 seconds. I cut it in half. I cut the whole top of the safe right off. Then for demonstration, I said, okay, if I just wanted to rob the internals, I cut a 12-inch by 12-inch square hole in the side in 18 seconds. So what a lot of people don't realize is modern tools cut through these safes like butter. And there's nothing you're going to do about it, because the fact is we have modern carbide blades are just incredibly efficient at going through steel. You have two choices here. You can go to a filled safe, and we produce the True Safe, which we no longer sell it. We OEM it to a company called Safe and Vault. It's just too heavy for us to deal with, and that's a double-walled steel safe filled with concrete. And it's extremely heavy, extremely secure. It has a decent fire rating to it. And that safe will give you a pretty decent level of protection, because the cement destroys a carbide blade. The steel gums up if you try to use a cement blade. So it actually works pretty good. But they're so heavy, once you put it in place, you will never move it. So what we bring to the table is ultralight, fast access gun safes. And this comes from our military heritage. In the military, they want to know they can pick up things and move them. They want them to be secure, but they want a level of portability. So we take that technology, bring it to the consumer in our Agile Ultralight Gun Safe. It's a small safe. If you've got a big collection, you don't buy one great big safe. You buy 3 or 4 small safes, and then you locate them where it makes sense. We call this the principles of decentralized storage. Now, a thief breaks into a house, a professional thief. They're going to hit master bathroom, master bedroom, home office, den, and then if they believe there's a safe in the house, they might hit the basement. They're in and out of a house in less than 10 minutes, but it's like 9-point-something minutes. The FBI actually has pretty good data on this. Mainly they're looking for is drugs and valuables. They know there's a safe and they want the safe, they'll check the basement. So where do you store valuables? Well, the worst place to store anything of value is a master bedroom. Anywhere in the master bedroom, closet. If you've got a jewelry safe or something, the last place you want to put it is in that room. So let's look at gun storage. Where are you vulnerable? When do you need a gun? Well, sleeping at night is when a lot of people feel vulnerable. So we recommend a small, fast access safe. We have the fast box. There's others out in the market. Ours is bolts right to your bed frame. It's very discreet, and it's a silent push-button lock that you can do in the dark. Part of our whole plan is you practice the lock every night when you go to bed for the first 30 days. Then you do it once a month. So in the dark, under a stressful condition, you reach down calmly, open it, remove the rifle. Then I go to front hall closet. Thieves never look in this closet. Most houses have a coat closet near the front door. Extremely safe area of your house. Again, thieves ignore closets. In my house, I've got an Agile Ultralight, a 6-rifle cabinet. I've got part of my collection in there, but then I've also got an AR-15 with a magazine in it, and I've got a pump shotgun. And I've got, if somebody's at my front door that I don't want to let in and they decide they want to kick it in 3 seconds, I'm armed. I look at a kitchen pantry. If you got a big kitchen pantry, great place to store rifles. Thieves always ignore kitchens. There's nothing in a kitchen a thief wants. You also typically, the kitchen has a secondary exit point to the garage or the back of a house. So you can arm yourself and get out of the house. If you've got an extra bedroom in your house and you've got a large gun collection, the closet of a guest bedroom is extremely secure. You set the room up with a made bed, a nightstand with a lamp on it, a generic piece of art in the room, and maybe a chair and nothing else. In that closet, I'd have a wall full of modular cabinets. I'd keep the bulk of my collection. Again, thieves running a house will open the door, guest room. They're not going to bother going in. There's nothing there. They don't have time. They're moving through a house very quickly. There's a lot more information on our website about going into more detail, but the idea is the most secure places in your home are some of the best places from a tactical advantage. And the best security in the world is secrecy. You know, our cabinets can be cut in half too. We're not saying we're more secure. We're saying that smaller modular cabinets allow you to store guns in areas where thieves don't look. The last piece of that puzzle, if somebody breaks into your home and they know you're gone and they've got a week and they've got all day long and they feel safe, they're going to more meticulously go through your house. If you got a great big gun safe, all your guns, they're going to open it and they're going to steal everything. If you've got decentralized storage, they may come across a cabinet and they may get it open and they're going to get some of your guns. But what happens when a thief finds something of value in a home, once they find something of value, now the pressure's on. They've got what they wanted. Any more time in that house puts them at greater risk. They typically, the minute they find something of value, they leave. They're done. So you've lost 3 or 4 guns, but you haven't lost your whole collection. It's kind of like if you're investing for your retirement, you don't put all your money into one spot. Asset allocation. You spread your money out over all these different assets so that if one thing takes a hit, you're not losing. You're not losing big. It's the same kind of mindset. Internally, our safe it's Cradle Grid technology is our patented system, and all of our safes are shallow. It's one row of guns. You never dig through guns to get to a gun. One arm, one gun. You can open the safe with one arm, remove a gun with the other, close it, and lock it. You're never laying guns on the floor. All guns are stored in a manner where the scopes are not touching. Most guns have optics nowadays. Most people who hunt, even for home defense or red dot. Traditional gun safes make no provision for any of this. And, a 40-gun safe, we've got a Liberty 40 here, it holds about 18 rifles. And even then, they're banging into each other. The whole capacity thing with safes is just kind of I met with America's largest safe manufacturer years ago when I first decided to go into retail. I was going to try to partner with them. And I asked about capacity. He said, well, that's our industry's little white lie. And I kind of looked at him, and he said, well, if Canon says they hold 40 and we say we hold 42, he goes, we all do it. And we decided not to partner with any safe manufacturers because I just thought, in the military, my background, if I design a system that holds 24 guns, it damn well better hold 24 guns.
Right.
Or I'm not getting paid. But that's our mindset is small, modular, lightweight. Also, the average American moves, and this is getting less and less every 3 or 4 years. We're down to 6.3 years. The average American moves. Younger people tend to be a lot more mobile. If you buy a big, heavy gun safe, it's besides a hot tub, it's the most left behind thing when people move because people don't realize a moving company will not move a safe. You have to hire a local safe company to come in and get it out of the house and pack it up, trucking company to truck it, then the new location, another group to come and unpack it and get it back into the new house. You're into $1,000 really quickly. With our system, our Agile cabinets you can actually disassemble them and reassemble them. They're 100 pounds, and they're very easy to move them with a hand truck. We have our Answer safe, which is an all-welded safe, and they run around 200 pounds, and they're a little bit bigger. Nothing that we do has a fire rating. Nothing that we do has drywall or carpeting. Fire ratings are complete nonsense. I get a lot of flack for this, for my statements, but they are complete nonsense. I ask any of your listeners, Google California wildfires gun safes. When they had all those fires that burned through California years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago, there are a lot of published articles out there about the gun collections that were lost. There's not a safe that survived. And we're going to cook off a safe this spring. I've got several tests we're going to do. But a gun safe, a 1 hour rated gun safe goes about 8 to 11 minutes. And it's because of how they test safes. And we did this with our True Safe. A safe goes into an oven with temperature probes in it. They raise the temperature to 1200 or 16, whatever the certification, let's say 1200 degrees, and they wait. The temperature in the safe slowly comes up, and over a course of an hour, once it gets to 350 degrees, boom, the test is over. At 350 and above, guns start to burn. So that's your rating. They'll say 1 hour, 350. Problem is, that's not how a fire burns. A fire is extremely convective. The air movement inside of a house in a fully involved fire, the air can be moving in excess of 60 miles an hour. It's a torrent whipping around. It's like a blast furnace. And safes, they cook off really fast. A great analogy is when you're making a pizza, you heat your oven up to 500 degrees. You can put your hand in that oven, get the pizza out. It's hot, but you're not getting burned. In fact, you could probably hold your hand in the 500-degree oven for 2 or 3 minutes. Really, it's hot, but you're not burning. Now, take a jet engine where the exhaust is coming out at 60 miles an hour at 500 degrees. You put your hand in front of that, in a tenth of a second, you're going to have third-degree burns. It's going to burn the skin off. It's going to rip the skin off your bones in seconds. That's what's happening in a house fire. And safes don't have a chance. So we simply decentralize, store guns all over the place, and the odds of losing a gun in a fire, it's possible. It's quite rare because when you look at actual data, it's almost 90% of all house fires occur in the kitchen, are confined to the stove or a pot. Actual heat-related burning fires in a home are typically confined to a corner of one room, usually it's master bedroom, or maybe a den. Most fires are kitchen cooking related, then it's carelessness, candles, and smoking. It's extremely rare that a house is fully involved and burns to the ground. Anybody can call their fire insurance company, or call your fire department and say, what's the response time to this address? If you have a paid firefighting force, it's typically under 3 minutes. I live in a small town with a volunteer force. It's 11 minutes to my house. So the odds of a fire burning my house down are so rare. The last piece of that is what they're using for fire protection is really corrosive. And a lot of people don't know this. This industry sells millions of dollars of anti-corrosion. You got the goldenrod, the heat stick, the desiccants, all these things to stop corrosion in a gun safe. But if you hang a shotgun above a fireplace in a house, it can sit there for years. It doesn't corrode. My grandfather had glass cabinet with guns in it my whole life. They don't corrode. But in a gun safe, it's a real concern because the carpeting is held on with adhesive. It's a rubberized adhesive, so it stays soft. It's full of formaldehyde, so it doesn't develop mold. Formaldehyde is banned for use in any museum because it's highly corrosive. The drywall or fireboard, they use formaldehyde as a dispersing agent in drywall manufacturing. Drywall also has ferrooxidant bacteria that feed off of pyrite. Pyrite naturally occurs in gypsum that they make drywall out of. Pyrite lives, or the ferrooxidant bacteria live on the pyrite and slowly consume it. These bacterium are used in mining to strip metal out of low-grade ores, and they're in a gun safe. And I could tell anybody, go into a store that sells safes, find a safe that hasn't been opened in a week, open the door slowly and put your nose in there. You'll smell a slight sulfur smell. That's sulfurous and sulfuric acids. That's what these bacteria put out when they consume pyrite. It's all in a gun safe. And I always tell them, if you got a brand new gun safe, make sure you open it weekly because it is a corrosive environment. Now, if you've got a really good desiccant, you've got it really dry, you're really minimizing the risk. The goldenrod and the heating products, not so much, because when those products that heat up, like goldenrod's a great one, it changes relative humidity. It goes from 60% down to 30%. Relative humidity is humidity relative to temperature. You raise the temperature 5 degrees, you drop the humidity. You've not eliminated any of the moisture. Yes, you slow rust down, but in the event of when you get sulfuric acid, some of those acids involved, the raising of the heat actually can speed up the process. So it's a kind of a double-edged sword. Best thing you can do is venture safe. Open it up often is the best thing I can tell people. But I'm really pushing to get the safe industry to move away from these materials. They could use other materials for nominally more money. But we're not getting any. Nobody's on board. They just tell me I'm nuts.
Well, you've just dropped a whole bunch of stuff right there,
killing that was a big data dump. But I will tell you that everything that's in an armor, that's in a gun safe sold at any of these stores, any of the major brands, none of those materials are allowed for use in an armory. Absolutely, I could not use those materials in an armory because of the corrosive nature. So it's again, my I'm not trying to tell everybody your gun safe stinks. My background is, I'm considered the leading authority on small arms storage in the military. We design and build all the armories for the SEAL teams, U.S. Army Special Forces. We do the CAG guys. We do all the, we're the guys that do these things. So we've just been doing it for 22 years, and we're bringing this mindset to the consumer market. And a lot of people push back on me saying I'm nuts. I'm saying I'm not trying to be divisive. I'm just telling you that this is corrosive, and I can prove it, and I can demonstrate it. And this is not secure. I've got a saw. I will cut it in half. Your best security is secrecy, and we can demonstrate that all day long. It's just a lot of people spent $2,000 on a safe, and they get upset because they spent a lot of money. And I understand that. Now, we do make conversion kits to convert traditional gun safes, the horrible interior, to our system. You still have the corrosive issues, but again, if you open the door and just let it vent once a week, and a properly cleaned and oiled gun is going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But it's we were shocked at how bad the safe community was, and they're all the same.
When I was in the Army for a long time, and talking about the whole looking at your threat in different ways to mitigate it, it really seemed like you take a tank. No matter how much armor you put on that tank, you make it super heavy, you put reactive armor on it, all that stuff. That will stop some threats, but given enough time and opportunity, someone will hit it with a big enough shell or a big enough bomb and be able to blow it up. So if it can be seen,
Absolutely.
It can be destroyed. And so I definitely hear what you're saying about, one, the keeping it out of observation, right? If no one knows it's there, they can't break into it. And two, turn that one big thing into 2 or 3 or 4 little things where if you lose one, yeah, it's bad, but it's not catastrophic, right?
Right. And also it enables you to, why do people own firearms is another question to ask. And defense, home defense and security is a big part of that. So why put all your guns in a big safe in the basement or in your den? Store them where it makes sense. The other piece that drives me nuts with the gun safe industry, and it's just, it didn't occur to me till I really started looking at it, is all the ads that show it's a beautiful safe painted like a dark burgundy. It's got this Wild Wild West looking lettering on it, Americana, this heritage. It is a true showpiece, and it's sitting next to a River Rock fireplace with a pool table, great view out the window, the whole setup. And I'm going, you're advertising, here's all my valuables, steal them. It's crazy to think that they make a safe a showpiece. In the military armories, that's the most secure, some of those secure places in a military base, you don't know where they are. You know what I mean? They don't advertise it. They're in amongst all the buildings. There's some that are armories, and they don't advertise it. In any kind of a store, like a jewelry store, they don't put the safe in the middle of the store. It's hidden somewhere because secrecy is so important. And that drives me nuts at the safe industry is because they're so big and heavy, they know they can't put them anywhere, so they try to make them into furniture, into a show-off ego piece. Our systems are small. They look good, but they're designed to be hidden. They're designed to go in a closet, tucked in with coats and things, and so nobody knows it's there but you.
Well, let's talk about a couple more things, and then we can maybe talk into the details of some of your safes and how they're different. To reiterate, so it sounded like places that you think are a good place to be storing a lot of your collection, getting aside from the things that you would want to store maybe for fast action, like in your room or something like that. So the coat closet, pantry, closet of a guest bedroom. What about, and so you said the basement, if you have one, it's not a great place to be storing a firearm because that's one of those other places that they would look, right?
It is. It's the issue with basements is, and I have a home office, and my basement is, we do our system to line the walls. So I have my room, I've just got walls lined with rifles wrapped all the way around me, and it's a showroom. I have a bunch of cabinets next to it. My house is very secure. I live in a small town. I'm not worried about break and threat. So I do lock everything up, and then I bring things out for display if we've got guys coming over. But just the fact that you're breaking it up and locating guns, for guys who have really large collections, the best thing to do is to build a gun room. And there's a lot of neat things that people can do that you don't realize to secure a room. The best thing that I've seen is the Aircrete. It's a product they use as insulation, and what is it? It's cement with foam injected into it. So it's super lightweight gray foam that they actually pump into the walls of a room, and it hardens. It's similar to what they fill up a safe with. It's a little bit lighter. Incredible insulation level, makes the walls hard as a rock, literally. And you do that with a 2x6, 2x4 room, and put a good secure door on it, you've got a very secure room. You could also do a lot. We like Murphy doors. We like a lot of the hidden doors where it's a bookshelf in a room, bookshelves, and you push a little magnet or something hidden, and you can open up the bookshelves and walk into an armory, into a home armory. For really big collections, we've built a lot of those. We're very discreet when we work with people. But you'd be surprised at some of the sports stars that have really big gun collections.
I could believe that.
Yeah. There's some basketball guys that I was shocked. I'm like, really? There's some musicians that have some big gun collections that we've done. We don't ever divulge names or things that we work on. We did build the largest home armory. Was in a house that at the time was the 5th largest mansion ever built in America. That guy had a massive collection. It was a huge, huge project.
Now, you talked at length about the fire ratings and how they're really just baloney. Does that extend to things that are not necessarily advertised for storing guns? You go to the store and you buy a fireproof document safe or something like that. Is that going to have a lot of the same issues?
Different. They're different. They are quite different, but they're a lot smaller. The problem is, and you can buy a TL rated safe and put guns in it, but a TL rated safe is a true fire rated safe. The problem is to get to the size of storing any kind of volume of guns, those safes get too heavy for wooden floors.
I see.
Now, a document safe, what they do is, and we've sold in my computer days, we sold a lot of media safes and document safes, but they're using a gel. The safe is small, it's secure, and they've got it filled with a gel that in the event of a fire, the gel turns the inside of the safe into steam and water. And it uses water because the water boils off, it holds the safe at 212 degrees and won't go above it. And it's got a lot of water in this gel that is cooking off. And that's how they get their time rating. I would be concerned. They don't use those materials in gun safes because you're packing your guns and surrounding them with a water-based product, and that just kind of flies in the face of corrosion.
Okay, fair enough. That's an interesting point. Something I'd often wondered about.
But that's what document safes use a gelled material, and they don't typically make them that big because, again, as a safe goes up, if you double the size of a safe, it's like a factor of 8. And how much more difficult it is to protect it from heat. As the surface area of a safe goes up, it's exponential, the threat of heat. So the bigger the safe, the faster it cooks off because of surface area.
So it sounds like
fire, if you look at the actual data, the risk of fire, and it drops every year. Every year we're getting safer and safer. Fire is becoming less and less of an issue as everything is becoming safer in homes.
Well, you make a good point, right? You said that this was the industry you say is stuck in, say, the 1950s and 1960s, and right, things are different now, right? Our wiring in our houses is much better than it used to be, and things like that. And people are afraid of black swan events and things that make the news and all that stuff, but in many cases, those things make the news because they are unusual, not because it's something that is happening all of the time.
Right, and buy insurance and then store your guns in a sensible manner. You want to keep targets of opportunity at bay. You want to keep children safe. You want to keep people safe. But the idea that because it's a big, heavy safe with a big, fancy lock, it's more secure is nonsense. And I've seen a lot of companies now coming out with these like 20 bolts. And if you look at a lot of the advertisement, they focus all your attention on the door. When you go to a safe company, the guy will walk around and talk about the safes. And they're always talking about the number of bolts, corner bolts, the size of the bolts, hardened steel bolts. And they talk about the lock, the things you can't drill it, you can't, all these things about locks and bolts and doors. Well, a pro simply ignores this and cuts a hole in the side of the safe. You just ignore the door and cut the side open. They don't want to reveal that vulnerability because they're not going to sell their product as effectively. But the other side of that is one of the reasons safes are so deep is because the doors weigh so much, and that door opens, they don't want the safe to tip over. So they make the safe really deep. Depth and firearm storage is problematic. You know, in a military armory, our cabinets are 18 inches deep. We got some that are actually shallower, because all the guns are stored in flat rows so they can issue the weapons quickly, and you're never removing guns to get to one in the back. If you got a big safe, what you do, you're taking guns out, you're laying them on the floor to get to the one in the back. Well, if you've got precision optics on all your guns, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. You know, our system is designed for military. You know, when a sniper goes into combat, they use our system. SOCOM uses our system because he can zero his rifle, He can store it in the rack, takes it out. It's going to perform exactly as it did when he put it in. If you're putting your guns into a safe where everything's kind of leaning up and banging into each other, there's no guarantee you're going to maintain zero. And that's our mindset is, our core function is to the warfighter to make sure he has what he needs, it performs properly, it's efficient, it's effective, it's affordable for the government, and our guys get the job done. We're just taking that whole mindset and saying, for the consumer, saying, guys, this is a better way to do it. And the military, they are the pros when it comes to firearms, to guns. They train every day. Nobody shoots more than our military, especially the SOCOM guys, and they use our system or systems like this because they are the best way to store guns.
So it sounds like what you are trying to do is provide good protection against children as well as casual thieves via the construction of your safe, then facilitate some distributed storage and make it easier to hide where it's just less likely to be found. Then, right? That's your whole goal.
Yeah, the whole thing is store guns in a manner that's best for the gun and that stores them in the reason you own them. If you're buying guns for home defense, all guns have to be locked out of sight. I don't like trigger locks. I don't like locks where the gun is visible because little kids just can't stay away sometimes. So all of our stuff, everything we do is non-visible, but it's also 1 to 3 second access on all of our cabinets, so that throughout your home, you walk around the house, you never see any idea that there's any guns in this house. Yet I can be armed and ready to roll in seconds, almost anywhere in my home. And we've got that. We go down to our small little fast box, which is a 1 or 2 rifle small cabinet, and we've never done handgun storage. We're introducing a whole new concept in modular fast access handgun storage. We're targeting to launch that in September. We'll be doing a pre-launch, some marketing things this summer. But that product, we think, will be a game changer in the handgun storage industry.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the Fastbox safes and then some of your little bit bigger ones.
The Fastbox it was our very first consumer product, and it's a 2 rifle. It mounts to a bed frame. It holds a rifle, an AR-15 with a magazine, optic, everything ready to roll. So you can open it, and you're armed in seconds. You can also use it vertically. It holds 2 rifles. It can hold rifles and handguns as well. It's got room for ammunition. So it's pretty modular, but it's 47 inches by 13 by 9. So it's pretty small. The next you go up to is our Agile line, and those are 6 rifle cabinets. They're 18 inches wide. Roughly. It's actually like 20.2 inches wide. And it holds 6 rifles, lightweight, modular. It's using our Cradle Grid system, so everything is organized. Another part of our system, to let anyone listening, you can go to our website and learn more about it, but it's an adjustable storage system that properly will hold any rifle, and it's very simple. And it goes from like an MP5 up to a shoulder launch weapon system in the military. It's the same components, the exact same system that the military uses. But it's also compatible with a whole lot of bins and trays. We supply a lot of different bins and trays for all your gear. And it's compatible with a lot of materials you can buy at Home Depot. So the guns sometimes are the easy part. They go in. But we have the ability to store a lot of gear with your guns. And what I do, like if I've got AR-15s, and I've built several, when you build and you're modifying them, you end up with gas blocks, all the different parts. So I tend to store all the parts for my AR-15s behind the guns against the wall in bins in my safes. If I've got a handgun that I'm working on, I've got a bin with a handgun frame, all the parts of it. I can simply lift the bin out of the safe, walk over to my bench, work on the gun, put it all back in, everything stays together. If I've got cleaning brushes, for odd caliber stuff, I keep those cleaning products in a little bin right behind the specific rifles they go to, because that's kind of what I wanted. I do that with ammo. I'm not big on storing a lot of ammunition in a safe. Unless it's a vented safe, I wouldn't. But I've got some really odd caliber old guns, and I keep a little bit of ammo. I shoot all my guns. I don't believe in a wall queen. I think guns should be fired. And so I'll keep a bin with 20 rounds. but I keep it right with the gun because those odd caliber guns, those are the ones that you decide to take to the range, and now you're going through your ammo cabinet knowing that you have a box and you can't find the ammo. So on the odd ones, I keep it right with the gun. But you have that ability to store all sorts of gear with your guns in a very organized manner. We call that, in the military, we call it three-dimensional storage. Or maximizing cubic density. Because in a military base, the armory is the most valuable real estate they own. They're small, and it's full of millions and millions of dollars of high-value gear and weapons. We provide a system that's extremely organized, extremely flexible. The guys at Fort Bragg call our system the Lego rack. The guys, the Marine Corps out west, calls it the Tetris rack because they just start at the bottom, and it's just a building block. Each armorer can build each cabinet as they see fit to hold whatever they want. And the consumer system is the exact same system. It's just in a little bit smaller cabinet. And all of our military cabinets are available to the consumer. They're expensive. The military cabinets are expensive. We do sell quite a few of them in the consumer space, but the smaller, agile cabinets are really more designed for in-home living, I'll say.
Okay, fair enough. This is all very interesting. What sort of mechanism do you have to lock the door? Is it a combination lock, a keypad?
We use keypad locks on everything we do, just because they're fast. You know, people say, well, what about a lot of things? Like you can go to dial locks, you can go to mechanical locks. A mechanical push-button lock to have enough combinations to be secure is extremely expensive. The lock can cost more than our cabinet, a good quality one. We use a digital push-button lock that we designed it's not magically different than anybody else's. It's very fast, very simple, and it works. And then we use bolts that go around the door. They're hardened steel. They're not massive bolts, but they're hardened steel bolts. Our safes, our bigger safes, our answer line, which is more like a traditional safe, but there's no drywall, none of that BS in there. We have one that's a double door safe. So it's a 12 rifle wide safe, but it's shallow. And so we have it's a pretty unique split double door. This allows you to fit the safe in a closet and still open the doors and have access to 12 rifles.
I've never used a safe with a electronic keypad on it. How long do the batteries last on it?
It depends on how often you're using it. One of the things we tell everybody is, and I do it in my house, every New Year's Day, and New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, I get up, I change all my batteries in safes, I change all the batteries in my smoke detectors because people forget. And smoke detectors always remind you at 2 o'clock in the morning when you got to get up early. That's always, they start chirping. So I would say, I just pick a day of the year that you know, your birthday, or pick a day that you'll always remember, and go do your batteries. I've got agile cabinets, and I replace the batteries. I'm in and out of them often enough. I've got one that I'm in and out of all the time. I've got some that I don't open that often. I don't know. I'm replacing the batteries every 6 months to a year, maybe. All of our products have either the lock, the battery can be replaced externally, or we have key overrides, which allow you to open the cabinet in the event of a battery fail. Okay.
And I see, especially here, like with the Fastbox, it's got some buttons that you push on it. Looks like in a particular order to get it to open. Then you could also have a key to open it.
The idea of the Fastbox is that you're under your bed, and it's a 4-button lock. The buttons are just recessed or flat with the door. We actually have a little logo, Secure It rubber, little dome, little labels that you put on the safe. You don't see it probably in our website photos, but you put that on in between two of the buttons, wherever you want, but it's an index for your hand. So you lay your hand down, you feel that little bump, and now you know you're centered, and then you do your lock. And we always tell everybody, part of our instructions, when you install that as an underbed safe, every night turn off your lights so it's dark, reach down with your hand, and just slowly go through, do the combination, open the door, then close it, go to bed. Do that for 30 days. You're building muscle memory. Then do it about once every 2 weeks to a month. And once you've got that muscle memory, if all of a sudden you're sleeping and boom, there's gunfire in your house, and it's crazy, because you've practiced that, without hesitation, you're going to reach down, boom, 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 and very quickly, without panic, you're going to be armed and you're going to be ready to defend yourself.
That is that's a good idea. And I also like what you were talking about earlier with how some of your safes, you can replace the batteries externally if there's not a key to it.
It depends on the locking system, which safe, which locking. We are in the process of evaluating standardizing our locks. We've got each of our product lines has a slightly different version of the lock. And now we're looking at standardizing all on a, it's really more about marketing a consistent look of the locks. And we're looking at some other technologies, some Wi-Fi, the ability to grant access to a safe remotely. Like if you've got somebody at your house, you can, through your cell phone, you can grant access to your safe. You also, if somebody touches the combination touches the lock on your safe, you can get a pop-up on your phone that somebody's trying to open your safe.
Oh, interesting.
So we're working on that technology right now. We're looking at RFID. I'm not a big fan of RFID for those kinds of for gun locks.
Mm-hmm.
It's and the problem with those, that's the ones you have the little tag that people use, and where you wave the tag over the lock and it opens. The problem we run into those is now you've got little tags that grant anybody access to your safe. So you've got to deal with those. You've got a piece now that allows anybody to open a safe, and that can be problematic. It's one more piece of security. So we're kind of looking at it. We've done a lot of RFID in the military, not from a lock standpoint, but more from a authorized access standpoint in armories. So we're experienced with the technology. And there are some safes out there that use RFID that I really don't like what they're doing because of the lack of security.
Well, okay. Well, is there anything else that we need to talk about with regards to secure storage of firearms or your products in particular?
I think we really covered it pretty well. The big changes, things happening at Secure right now, is more broad industry based. We are, I've got Sportsman's Channel's approached this, and we've got a TV show that we start shooting in February. It'll be airing in July, called Agents of Change, and I'm hosting the show, and it's Securus Agents of Change. And what we're doing is we're going to be bringing onto our show each episode one or two companies that are truly innovative and driving change in the firearms, hunting, and outdoor sports, kind of in that whole industry. Because my position is there's not much. The hunting, the gun industry is so slow to innovate and so slow to change. And there's so many interesting things that we could be doing, from the fight for the Second Amendment to how the firearms actually work. But, gun safes is just another symptom of they've never changed. They keep making the same thing. It doesn't work that good. But there seems to be a real hesitance in the firearms community to change. And we're doing Agents of Change as a show just to really highlight the companies that really are pushing the envelope. And there's a lot of really neat things happening out there that there's going to be some changes in firearms that are going to knock people's socks off, and it's going to happen amazingly fast. Stay tuned for the show, but I'm going to tell you right now, in 3 to 5 years, you probably won't be using glass optics. Not for your mid-priced optics. Things are going to go. It's going to be all digital, all video.
Very interesting.
That's going to happen so fast, your head's going to spin. I'm going to talk about. That's probably going to be the opening episode of our show, because there's some things happening within that world of technology that's just fascinating, and I think it's really cool because I'm exposed to it from the military side, going into the consumer side, and that's going to be a big change, because it's just because what the other things that it gives you, and then trying the other things going on with Secure. We've grown a lot. We just hired a new head of marketing. I'm very excited about. The company runs remote, so we hire people all over the country, and it's just been crazy. I just got back from SHOT Show. Were you at SHOT?
I was not. No, couldn't make it this year. I got sick.
There was a lot of people. In that same boat. The show was lightly attended, But the people I talked to at booths said that the quality of the traffic was good, so they were happy. But again, I'm walking around the show looking for innovation. I'm looking for companies for my TV show, and I'm looking at marketing. And I posted something on LinkedIn the other day. It's shocked in our industry how many people, you see the big booth that says their company name, they're spending, $50,000 or $100,000 for this booth, and it says a company name and the line underneath it, quality since 1922 or established in 1835. Why do gun companies in our whole community, why do they want to tell me how old they are? Why do they think that's important? It's the prime real estate for the company, and they're saying how old they are. That may work with older buyers, but the younger buyers coming along, tell me why you do what you do. Tell me how you do what you do. Then tell me what you do. Kind of in that order. Why is it important? How does it work? And what can it do for me? And I think the gun industry, again, it seems stuck somewhere between 1888 and 1962, maybe. I don't know. But the purpose of the show and kind of what we're trying to do is really work to drive change in our industry.
Well, that's an interesting point that you make. I think this is maybe something that you see in all industries to a certain extent, but I think you're right that it is especially prevalent in the firearms industry, because you take the introduction of anything new, right? A new cartridge, a new bullet, new rifle, whatever. And there's going to be some people that think, oh, wow, that's super cool. I really like it. But then in the next breath, there's going to be someone coming in being like, why do we need this? The 30-06 does everything. We don't need anything new. And so you're always fighting that. And they're not necessarily wrong, but just because the 30-06 could do this doesn't mean this new thing couldn't necessarily do it better, right?
You're absolutely. I mean, I got pushback on the post I did on LinkedIn. I got a lot of pushback. In fact, I did some groups I spoke with, and they about, well, no, heritage. I like to know that. I said, I get that, but there's a lot of old gun companies that have gone out of business in the last 15 years. Brands that were pretty big brands. I mean, Colt blew up. We've got Marlin now is owned by Ruger. And they're now back in production, but there's a lot of old traditional companies that never modernize, and they end up disappearing. And when you look at going forward, I mean, the 6.5 Creedmoor there's a new cartridge that's got a lot of neat capabilities. You've got True Velocity coming out with synthetic ammunition, and that's going to be a game changer. I spent a lot of time talking with them. They will be on the show. It's fascinating stuff.
Well, very good.
Sig Sauer's doing a lot of neat things. Their modular handgun they're probably at the front of the innovation world in firearms. And the company there's no firearms company that's grown as fast as Sig. And they are truly out front in technology, out front in development. So I think the people that say, well, I like traditional stuff, you know what? I'm not a young guy. I'm close to 60, but I'm not getting closer, if you know what I mean. And my generation is of that older mindset. Younger buyers, they don't care as much. They don't care about these old value. I mean, they like their old. I mean, they like their old lever action guns and stuff, but they grew up with technology. They grew up with a world that moves quicker, and I think that they're much more. They react much better to not just newbie for the sake of new, but something innovative because it's better.
I think that is an excellent point, and I think that's a real good place to wrap things up today. So where can people go to learn more about your safes and as well as your upcoming TV show?
Well, just Google Secure-It, one word, Secure-It. The website is Secure-It Gun Storage. We also have SecureItTactical.com, which is our military site. We have two different websites. But you just Google Secure-It. We're all over YouTube. We've got our website. The TV show is something we're going to start filming in February, and that'll be on the Sportsman's channel. I think it's Wednesday nights. It's Wednesday or Thursday night. I know it's their scheduling hasn't been. I don't think it's been 100% set. it's the firearms night where they do all their gun shows. And I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun. There's some really interesting, innovative, small boutique companies out there that I think people, when they see what's coming down the pipe, they're going to be excited about it. I got really excited when I first walked through SHOT Show. My first pass, I called one of my producers and I said, "Well, there's nothing innovative here. It's all the same stuff as last year." And then I started digging a little deeper and talking to one person referred to, and all of a sudden you start finding some really neat things. So I ended up having a very good show, and I made some great contacts.
Well, okay. Well, that sounds great. I look forward to checking that stuff out once it comes online. And thank you so much for joining us on the show today, Tom. It was a pleasure.
Well, thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to listen to myself speak. No, I'm just kidding. You always listen to a podcast of yourself. It's like, oh, my God, my voice is awful.
That's how I feel every episode.
I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. No problem. You have a great day.
All right. Thank you.
Pretty sobering discussion, right? Like we said, your best defense is keeping your valuable stuff hidden. On top of that, dispersing your valuables, in this case guns, between a couple different locations makes it more likely that even if a thief gets into one safe, they won't necessarily get all of your stuff. So that is what Tom and the rest of the guys at Securite Gun Safes are going for. Like he said, it is very possible for someone to cut into one of their safes just as easy as they can any other gun safe with those same tools. However, their safes are designed to be easier to hide and easier to set up in a manner where you may have 2, 3, or 4 smaller safes in locations distributed through your house that are more easily hidden in locations less likely to be discovered, instead of having everything located in one really big safe. Additionally, certain Securite safes are also designed in a manner where they are still easily hidden and will keep kids and casual thieves out, while at the same time still being easy for you to quickly access if needed, which is the whole point of owning certain guns for some people. So take all that stuff for what it's worth. I do not have a relationship with Securite Safes. Tom did not pay me anything to come on the show, and I don't get any money if you buy something from them. I'm looking at their products seriously for myself, though, and it might be worth it for you to do the same. Check them out at securitegunstorage.com, and I will put a link to their site in the show notes as well. As we wrap up, be sure you sign up for my email list at huntingguns101.com. Now, the fact that you are listening to this podcast means that you are serious about making your dreams come true. Follow me on Instagram, and my handle is @TheBigGameHunter. And if you have any questions about the show or future show requests, send me a direct message on Instagram or an email, john@thebiggamehuntingblog.com. Remember, you can make your dream hunt turn into a reality, and I can help. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you back here next time on the Big Game Hunting Podcast.
This show may be over, but we have plenty more for you on our website. For more information on today's topic, as well as lots of other useful hunting resources, head over to thebiggamehuntingblog.com. We look forward to having you back for the next episode. But until then, happy hunting.
Shop Plato's Closet tax-free August 2nd through 4th for back-to-school styles. We sell the trendy, gently used styles you need to make a difference in the world and in your wallet for back-to-school shopping. Save up to 70% off regular retail prices by choosing recycled styles. Save even more when you shop tax-free this weekend. Make a change that others can respect and repeat. Shop Plato's Closet in North Charleston and West Ashley this year for your back-to-school looks. Plato's Closet, located in West Ashley on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard and North Charleston on Rivers Avenue.